Imagine a digital ecosystem where autonomous software programs can phase right through standard security protocols to execute actions on your behalf without your permission. A small tech startup recently ran into a preview of this future. They launched an experimental AI project called Grand Theft Robots and promptly received a cease and desist letter. The letter came from Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar Games and the owners of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. The developers immediately complied. They took their website offline, agreed to drop the name entirely, and turned to crowdsourcing a new brand identity. But their project had nothing to do with video games. They were building banking infrastructure and legal frameworks for autonomous digital agents. A routine trademark dispute over a catchy name accidentally pulled back the curtain on a massive vulnerability. We are about to deploy millions of autonomous AI workers into the global economy, and we currently have no standardized legal way to govern them. Tech leadership is already bracing for this transition. Microsoft's CEO has explicitly stated that he views all AI agents as users, meaning each automated bot will eventually need its own distinct identity. Right now, software protocols allow these agents to write code and execute financial transactions, but there is no universal system to verify exactly who deployed them. This creates a severe trust gap. High-speed code is colliding with the strict requirements of legal accountability, leaving enterprise systems exposed. Two completely different infrastructure models are competing to fix this. The first is the Web3 approach, relying on permissionless, decentralized networks to assign digital domains to these agents. The second model relies on centralized, tightly regulated registries controlled by ICANN. ICANN is the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, the global nonprofit that coordinates the Internet's naming system and IP addresses. To sell these highly abstract network architectures to investors, developers are using AI image generators to create vivid, cinematic concept art. The choice between these two structural paths will dictate how the next iteration of the Internet operates. It will either become a secure, verified vault, or a highly efficient, ungovernable free-for-all. The Web3 model, championed by platforms like Unstoppable Domains, treats agent deployment like a digital frontier. The main advantage here is zero friction. A developer can spin up a new autonomous agent and deploy it globally in a matter of seconds. However, that frictionless environment lacks mandatory identity verification. An anonymous user could deploy a rogue bot that perfectly mimics a verified corporate entity. If a malicious program spoofs a major bank's customer service agent, the liability is immediate and severe. When marketers pitch this reality to institutional boards, they often use a cyberpunk or tech noir aesthetic. That neon-soaked, chaotic cityscape looks fantastic on a presentation slide, but it terrifies compliance officers. The Web3 path maximizes developer freedom at the direct expense of institutional security, forcing enterprises to operate in an environment where they cannot trust the digital identities they interact with. The alternative is a centralized approach, using strict ICANN registries and frameworks like the MAMA protocol. At the core of this institutional model is the Know Your Agent, or KYA, framework. This illustrates how KYA works. It mandates a verifiable, cryptographic, and legal link between a software agent and a registered human owner. The operational trade-off for this security is immense bureaucratic friction. Forcing every bot through strict verification checkpoints drastically slows down deployment speeds. To sell this high-friction approach, strategists use solarpunk and Swiss Bauhaus imagery. Clean concrete geometry and sunlit greenery are engineered to project institutional permanence. It visually communicates a safe, heavily guarded environment that protects users against rogue code. The KYA model intentionally sacrifices deployment speed to secure absolute legal liability containment, the one specific metric that legacy financial institutions actually demand. While the debate over these software registries continues to rage on, the physical velocity of the underlying technology is accelerating at a breakneck pace. Beneath the abstract domain name layers, massive physical AI factories are generating unprecedented amounts of compute power. NVIDIA's full-stack hardware operates as the literal engine block for this entire ecosystem. NVIDIA CEO expects these processors to eventually power a society filled with trillions of digital workers running around the clock. The organizations that successfully build the identity layer governing those processors will effectively control the economic output of the entire new internet. So, how should developers and investors evaluate where to place their bets? This chart maps out the decision. We plot the need for deployment speed and autonomy on the x-axis against the requirement for institutional trust on the y-axis. The Web3 cyberpunk route lands in the bottom right quadrant, optimizing for maximum speed with minimal verification. Independent developers and open-source researchers belong exactly in this frictionless zone. They need to test and deploy local tools rapidly without waiting for committee approvals. Conversely, the ICANN-backed MAMA protocol lands in the top left quadrant. Banks, accounting firms, and healthcare providers are legally required to sacrifice speed. They need the biometric security of the KYA zone to operate without facing devastating compliance failures. The wrong quadrant is a disaster. You'll stifle startups with red tape or expose enterprises to catastrophic liability. This brings us back to the original cease and desist letter sent to Grand Theft Robots. By dropping the video game moniker, the startup moved away from trademark battles and focused purely on building the foundations of digital trust. Their pivot revealed the invisible battleground of the Agentic era, establishing rigorous governance over autonomous code. Hyper-stylized cinematic imagery is highly effective at selling these abstract architectures to investors, but it is the underlying protocol math that will actually survive long-term. In an upcoming economy flooded with infinite, perfectly capable AI agents, the most valuable commodity is no longer raw compute power. It is verifiable trust. Choose your infrastructure based on the exact level of trust your end user demands, not just the speed of your code.